plans change. It takes a look at the precious resources that we currently have, and sometimes we need to make difficult decisions around reallocating those precious resources to move our very few strategic initiatives forward. A strategic plan is more like a to-do list, whereas effective strategy development provides different ways of thinking and being based on recent research. A strategic plan is static. When it's done, you check it off. An effective strategy development process is dynamic. We come up with initiatives based on best practice and research, and we're constantly revisiting those initiatives to improve them based on the effectiveness as well as new research that comes out. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood why we're not sitting here today talking about developing a strategic plan as opposed to what we're doing. There'll be more information on that to come. So again, this requires us to develop a strategy that is focused on just a few high leverage ways to improve instruction and student learning, and we're always, always, always focused on the instructional core. So what is the instructional core? It represents the interactions of teachers and students in the presence of content. Each point is critical. You cannot change one point without changing the other 2 points. Otherwise, it will not be an effective strategy. So as we talk about initiatives that I'll be presenting to you at future school committee meetings, all of the conversations that took place around those initiatives were focused on each point of the triangle in the instructional core. We're not just improving student achievement without taking a look at teacher effectiveness and the current curriculum. It's a constant interaction between the three. So why is strategy hard? Most school systems have more initiatives in place than any organization could ever hope to implement well. That's why we needed to really focus, to drill down and identify our priorities. Typically, school systems tend not to sequence work or clarify the interconnectedness of the initiatives. So we felt it was very important to do so. We went through several exercises where we brainstormed all the initiatives taking place in the district. We grouped them into 8 categories, and then we started identifying what are those priority areas, those priority categories, and how are they interconnected. And typically, systems offer layer initiatives on top of one another without taking something away. There is only so much time in the day, there is only so much energy to go around. So we need to be strategic about those priorities and focus on those few initiatives that will give us the best results. So let's talk about the vision. John Dewey, very famous, talked about every grade advance has issued from a new audacity of information. Remember that word, audacity, because it's about imagination and where do we want to be in 5 years. As Mel was talking about 21st century skills, we're already taking a look out to find out what is it that our students need to know and be able to do to thrive. Which brings me to the next point. The new vision. Well, what we did in this district was we went through several exercises over the summer retreat to talk about where do we want to be in the 21st century. And so the principals and the leadership, expanded leadership team engaged in an exercise called Back to the Future. And as a result of many hours of talking about what that looks like, we talked about wordsmithing the vision, which is where do we want to be? The vision is where do we want to be in the future? So this is called the bumper sticker version. The administrative team felt it was very important to keep the vision short, focused, clear, and to the point. And so it reads, the North Reading Public Schools prepare all students to be productive citizens who thrive in the 21st century. And when I tell you people labored over almost every single word in this vision to make sure that it demonstrated our thinking about where we want to be in 5 years, I would be not exaggerating. So then we said, well, if this is where we want to be, how are we going to get there? And the way that we get there is through the mission. Now, the North Reading Public School District had a mission. And the mission, as you can see, because in your packets I had given you a copy of the old mission and the revised mission, the new mission, or the revised mission I should say, incorporates a lot of the thinking of the previous mission. But what we've done now is provide more detail around how we want to get to where we want to be. And I'll read it for you. The North Reading Public Schools provide a safe, supportive, and contemporary learning environment where dedication to excellence, service, and lifelong learning is paramount. All students are challenged to work collaboratively and to become creative and critical thinkers. Emphasis is placed on mastering core academic knowledge, developing 21st century skills, pursuing individual potential, and fostering citizenship in a global society. And all of this takes lots of imagination and different ways of thinking and being. And so our mantra has become, be audacious. And that's a picture of somebody being audacious.
We can follow.
So, comments, questions?
I have one comment slash question. I'm not crazy about the word contemporary in that statement. It seems so amorphous. I mean, what are we trying to say there? Because contemporary, I don't know. It almost, I know what it means, but it almost doesn't sound like it belongs. Like, would forward thinking or forward looking be more appropriate than the word contemporary? It just strikes me as not wrong, but
Sure.
So can you?
Sure, I'll comment on that. When we're talking about the learning environment, we're talking about the infrastructure where students come to on a regular basis. We recognize that not all learning takes place inside the four walls of a school,
Right.
but we feel that modern environment, a learning environment, is very important to promote the development of the skills that we have identified. And so we're saying that it's not okay to continue to survive or to learn in an environment that doesn't allow students to be forward thinking. So we felt it needs to be more contemporary than 1950s.
I think you answered. I mean, you used the word modern. I just think that for some reason that I'm not saying you have to change, but modern sounds better to me than contemporary in the context of a mission statement. That's all.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if it's something you could think, but it
Absolutely.
just sounds like a better description.
The purpose for tonight is to gather your input, because you are the stewards of the vision and the mission.
Oh, God.
And so it's very important that
Jerry has to be audacious then.
be audacious.
Yes.
And so your input will be.
And I think the
back to
mission's
the
good. I think this
administration.
is on the money. I think it's what we need to be talking about and how we need to talk about our school district. So that was the only issue, the only question I had.
Karen when we need her.
I know.
So modern.
Modern instead of
environment.
contemporary almost sounds like like it would be on a TV. I don't know. It's just a word that doesn't strike me
The
as.
administrative council also bantered around the word contemporary, and some liked it more than others.
You know what I think about it as? When you're out buying a house, this is a colonial, this is a whatever, this is a contemporary home, and you're like, sometimes contemporary homes are ugly, so I don't know.
Michael, I didn't hear what you had to say.
I think contemporary fits. I think, then you can start debating what is modern versus what's not
Right.
modern at the time, and
Yeah.
it's in the picture, but it's just.
As I said, I don't have, if they want to change it, fine. If they don't, it just struck me as different, that's all,
Okay.
not wrong.
I appreciate your input.
I'm very excited to see this in action, actually. As a CEO, you're doing a great job, and the vision and the mission statement is right on target, and I like that first slide where you put the subjects on the left side and then what you should really be doing on the right side.
Mhm.
It's very impressive.
Now, was this a real collaborative effort, or did one person, or did yourself lead this as a
This is
real collaborative
This
effort?
is as collaborative as it gets.
So you're
We
going
spend
at it.
hours working on this.
Yeah.
The next time I come before you, I will have an action plan that we've been developing. And it really starts to identify what are those three big strategies. We call them the big rocks, if you think about Stephen Covey and his thinking about what's most important. There's three big initiatives that we'll be focusing on, and then there are strategies under each of those initiatives that will look very similar to the action plan that you have all worked out around your goals. We wanted to make sure that there was some consistency between the school committee's vision and the administrator's vision, where we're going with the district. And then for each one of the strategies in the action plan, and I'm not going to bring this forward to you because it's way too much information, there's a logic model that is developed for each of those initiatives that takes you through the actual actions that will be taken in order to achieve each one of those initiatives to move the district forward. But more information to come. I want to tell you also that we previously mentioned, Mr. Nelson and I, that the presentation on the budget will be twofold this year. There'll be a short presentation that will be connected to this strategic planning on the 13th of February. You had asked us to think about what are some of the visionary budgetary items that if we had adequate funding or more than what we currently have, where would we be going with that funding? So I'm going to bring those to you to show how they reflect what we've been talking about. And then on February 27th, Mr. Nelson will do the typical presentation of the preliminary budget that will include these strategic visionary budgetary items as a side addendum to the preliminary budget. So, but this is driving everything we are doing. We are hyper-focused on improvement, continuous improvement. Not that we're not doing well as a district, but there's always room for improvement.
Contemporary, I just checked it out on Webster, and basically it means at the same time, so it means current.
Current.
And I think contemporary probably fits in that. We can't really do future because we don't know what it is yet. And it's gonna be vastly different next year than it is today. As long as we stay current, then we'll be all right.
Yes.
Any further comments from the committee?
Nope.
I think the superintendent had put this on tonight for a vote to approve.
It would be great if we had your approval.
Yeah. Does the committee want to vote on this tonight, or do we
Sure.
want to wait?
I'll move it.
All right.
Both? We have, what do we have? We have two things, right? We have
We have
the
a vision and a mission.
vision and
Karen,
mission.
Karen got this and had an opportunity. Did she give you any input at all? Or
I will second that motion to approve the new school vision and mission.
Okay, we have a motion by Cliff and a second by Mel. Any further discussion regarding this matter? Hearing none, all those in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? None. Motion carries by a vote of 4-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, I think the superintendent wanted to mention the Suburban Coalition Legislative Breakfast that's coming up in April.
Yes. I recently received some information that the annual legislative breakfast will take place on Wednesday, April 25th in the Great Hall of the State House from 8:30 to 11:30. Mr. Bowers and I attended last year, and Mr. Bowers, I don't know if you wanted to make a comment about it?
I've attended these breakfasts for, I think, the last 4 years. I think that's every year since I've been a member. And to me, one of the more important pieces of, first off, you get some good information, but more importantly, you are enabling the Suburban Coalition to act as a lobbyist for us. You're not dealing with it really as like a paid lobbyist, but they act as a group, and they represent such a large body of communities that they actually get some voice on the Hill. And I think that's important for us to keep that voice with some backbone. You know, when you show up there and the legislators see you there, then you fill a great hall, and that is meaningful. It's kind of like writing a lot of letters. So I think that it's a worthwhile thing to go to. It's, as far as I can remember, it's free, and part of our $200 a year dues. And as the president of the Suburban Coalition often reminds us, is that it's probably the cheapest lobbyist you can buy anywhere. So I think it's a very worthwhile thing to do.
We also have a private audience with our state senator and representative.
I was going to raise that, yeah.
And that's very valuable. Yeah. Last year, we sat and spoke about very specific issues to North Reading, and I think it benefited us in the long run.
Yeah, I don't think it can hurt any time you can sit down with Representative Jones and Senator Tarr and get their ear, that we should take the advantage of that opportunity.
There again, these are people we see more often than the other people in their district, but what it does is it lets them know you're interested enough to make the trip to Boston, to come to their office and talk about the issues in their business place. And it also shows people that you're interested, people around them that you're interested.